I was Googling making money online because I wanted a passive income. And I was into sports betting before, and I got banned from all kinds of sports betting sites and places. I went to the YouTube University.
Okay.
And I learned about looking at the chart and feeling what direction the price was going, and took a trade, and I lost for many years.
Zulan, a pro algo trader from a private Discord channel.
You were trading manually initially.
Yeah, started out manually. Yeah, it took a while for me to get to EAs, but when I did, things started to work out.
What was your dream when you were starting? What was the goal?
I was fed lies in the beginning. I saw, people making thousands of percent in trading and all the Lambos and stuff. I don't need any Lambos, but I would like the money that you need to buy them.
And now when you're into algo trading, are you on the profitable side already?
Yes, now, but it took a long time, actually. It took a long time.
Can you walk us through your top performing ES? Probably that's what the people want to hear.
If they want to hear the crazy stories, then I have one year that I did almost 15,000% in 6 months.
15,000.
15,000.
And if you want to see more pro traders in this podcast, please double check if you have subscribed, because it turns out that most of you watching our videos miss to subscribe. YouTube just recommends the videos on the homepage and you watch them. It's a one-time free action and it means a lot to us, so thank you very much for that. Zulan, thank you very much for flying all the way from Sweden and being part of my podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I think I'm more excited than you are, because the fact having such a person like you, a trader who is trading so many accounts, so many expert advisors, and you're part of our community just means a lot, because it's just easy to have followers and community members that are into the idea of getting rich quickly. You know, the people who click by those popular YouTube videos where they promise cars and mansions and stuff like that. And when we have traders like you in our Discord, it makes me realize that we've put a good job with my team, and I'm really proud to have you in the Discord and in my home podcast studio.
Thank you. That's nice.
Can you tell me more about how you got into all of that? What made you look into algo trading in the first place?
Yeah, I was Googling making money online because I wanted a passive income. And I was into sports betting before, and I got banned from all kinds of sports betting sites and places, so I couldn't.
You got banned from them?
Yes, because I was winning and they didn't like winning players.
Something very similar like with the prop firms,
Yes.
right? They don't like you when you profit.
No, I mean, I won't name anyone, but large companies, like the world's largest companies. It's just mind-blowing that they do it like that, but they did. So I needed something else, and I started, and trading came up. I went to the YouTube University. I learned about looking at the chart and feeling what direction the price was going, and took a trade, and I lost for many years.
Okay. You were trading manually initially.
Yeah, started out manually. Yeah, so
Right.
it took a while for me to get to EAs.
Okay.
But when I did, things started to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did your IT experience help with that?
I think so, because like I said initially, I tried to use some indicators, but I also tried to look at the price and what direction it went, and used feelings. And that was, of course, not good. But then in EA, it's like it's ones and zeros, and it's a rule based, and it's you can back test it in a whole different way that was not possible, at least for me, to do in manual trading, doing hundreds of trades in back testing just to end up with, oh, this doesn't work. And you spent like months with it. So I wanted to optimize things, and I wanted to use the IT skills that I had. And EAs was just a perfect match. So when I started doing back tests and started seeing, oh, this thing can make money over like 5 years and still doing money, it just made me confident in using them and trying it out. While as I started out manual trading, doing some trades, and then after a while it turns out it wasn't doing very good, and I had mental issues, just I got nervous over the trades, I got hesitant, and I opened them and I closed them, and I couldn't really rely on anything other than myself for the entries and the exits. But
Right.
the EAs, it's rule-based, you set the rules, this is what you're gonna do, you're just gonna stick by it, and it does it for you. Just make things so much easier.
Absolutely hear you. Quite often we have kind of sweet arguments with a couple of friends that are still manually trading, and they try to convince me that the back test doesn't guarantee performance, and I say yeah, absolutely, but in manual trading you don't even have the back test. You have pretty much no proof before you start. And now if you start and you make some money for some time, okay, and that's usually where the emotions come in, right? Because after a couple of profitable trades, beginners get excited. I used to do that, and you increase risk and you hit the bottom at one moment, inevitably.
One funny thing that I found out with manual trading is that it's just as painful as being in a loss that being in profit.
Absolutely.
Just as nervous.
Absolutely.
If you're in a profit, you just want to keep that profit so badly.
Yeah.
If you're in a loss, you just want to get out so badly.
Absolutely.
And I just wasn't very good at that.
Okay, what was your dream when you were starting? What was the goal? Because, like as the Washington says, if you have dreams, you need to have goals to achieve it. What was that?
I was fed lies in the beginning. I saw, people making thousands of percent in trading and all the Lambos and stuff. I don't need any Lambos, but I would like the money that you need to buy them. So I thought, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is how I'm gonna make money. And my plan was just to make all those thousands percent.
Okay. And now when you're into algo trading, are you on the profitable side already?
Yes, now, but it took a long time, actually. It took a long time. But now I'm profitable. I would say maybe the first 6 or 7 years I lost money.
Okay.
I'm including manual trading now also. The whole trading career, kind of. So it was not doing good. And even with algos, I still had the urge to intervene, and I wanted to, I saw things go wrong, and I thought maybe I should just close the trade here. It was always at the worst possible moment. And it took the time to actually rely on the EAs and the process and getting to know them as much, so I would actually trust them to do their job.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, and it also takes time to build the threshold to be able to trade larger accounts. You can't just start a large account because it will make you crazy nervous. Yeah. You need to do that in increments.
Absolutely.
So it took a long time.
We had a podcast with the team probably a month ago. I don't know if you have seen it. It didn't get a lot of views. I'm not sure why, but we said a few things that are crucially important. You just repeated one of them, right? It just confirmed one of them right now, that it takes 5, 6, 7 years for everybody to become profitable. And we compare it just like to getting a university diploma or degree, where you go to the university, you pay a huge fee, which is a cost the family pays, right? Before you can get a regular job and start earning money. And in trading, what we noticed from hundreds and thousands of people on the YouTube, on Udemy, on the platform, is that everybody actually has to go through that losing phase, has to spend some money, has to lose some money, which if you take it as a university fee, as a college fee, it's just fine, right? It's, but the thing is, people are taught that it's okay to pay the university, but they're not taught that it's okay to pay the market, right? And usually many people will just give up after 1 or 2 years of losses, or if they can't go through it, they will just keep losing and losing and losing. You know, people take even loans trying to recover. And secondly, what you said, you can't go big at the beginning. You have to start slow with small accounts, a few small accounts, and build it gradually. And how did you meet us? How did you find my videos or ATS videos, the platform? I'm asking you because I'll be happy to have more people like you in the community. And I will share so much of experience in the last months.
I needed to diversify, so I wanted to find more EAs. There are a lot of good EAs out there. There are also a lot of bad ones. So I started investigating and searching YouTube, trying to find reviews and, you know, see what I should start to back test and maybe test out and that kind of stuff. And then I found some of your videos and I saw that we traded same EAs.
How long time was that ago? Which were the first videos you saw? Can you remember? Just interesting for me.
It was in the early days. I don't think you've done many videos when I found you, actually.
Okay.
So probably from the start.
They weren't really good, right?
Oh, well, for me it was just about the information.
Yeah.
The information.
Because at the beginning I was just sharing, trading and reviewing. Yes, I wasn't putting attention to, you know, lights, cameras and stuff.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
But it's interesting for me. How did you get to the idea of diversifying? Because usually what we see is people start with one strategy and they believe that one EA will make them the money, right? And I remember I was one of the first to record a course on Udemy where I showed many EAs trading in one account, probably if not the first. And when you say that, what made you realize you need to put many EAs into one account?
I was of course looking for the golden EA, the one to do it all.
Yeah.
Why would I need something lesser? I just want the best one and I'll just trade that. And I found one that I thought was very good and I traded it. I still do. It's the Powerhouse from Ryan Brown.
Which was not Powerhouse at this time, I believe. What was it? It was a Sharpshooter. It was a Vigorous, maybe the first.
They were part of the whole Powerhouse package. So I was trading those. And then, of course, it's still a portfolio of EAs, but still, I was only using them, and it was only I put all my eggs in that. And once I had a stop loss because of I think it was the Swiss bank had some issues, and the euro just went crazy, and I had my first big loss. That's when I saw that maybe I need more accounts so I can spread out that loss a little bit more. So I mean, if you take a 30% loss on all your capital, it's a big loss. And if you take 30% loss on 1/20th of your capital, of course it's much less. Right. And the recovery is just so much quicker and easier. And that's why I needed to diversify. I was trying to find as many EAs that I could, trading not only the euro dollar. It's so easy to find EAs on the euro dollar. Yeah. So trying to diversify also the pairs that I'm trading and adding gold and it's over 20 accounts now, and I use maybe 25 EAs because it's some accounts have more EAs than one.
Yeah.
And I just had a loss last week, a 10% loss, because this was on a large account. And I was like, oh, this is so bad. And, you know, the next day it was recovered.
All right.
Yeah, it was...
from the entire portfolio.
Yeah.
All right.
So the whole portfolio recovered it in one day, and it was just really nice. But of course, it was an extremely nice day. It was actually the Forex Gold Investor. Had a crazy run and just took it all back in one day.
Yeah. That's exactly the next goal we are having. And you shared before the podcast with me that you had a wrong impression of that we will keep trading these 100 accounts once we reach them in Algo Trading space. I think we are in around 60 something, but probably it's the best place to explain and share that the next goal, as I call it stage number 2, is after we have this 100 accounts trading separately, to start putting really the best ones, the ones that we build some kind of trust with. We know the vendors, we know the strategy, we know that they have track records. We have track records at least of 6 to 1 year time. Obviously, the longer it goes, the better. But then we really want to put these best EAs into portfolio accounts, right? Just what you are doing, and I'm sure your experience will be very useful to us and the community. And my second question for you that I'm just curious to know is, when you are already profitable, you have many EAs, you have many accounts, why do you keep being part of the community? Why do you keep answering people? Is it because it's a lonely job? Most people say, stay home, and even if you make money, you might not be happy. What keeps you motivated to be part of this community?
Well, the loneliness is certainly a big factor. I felt very alone for a long time with trading, and I tried to speak with family and friends, but you need to have an understanding, and you need to have a resistance to risk. Otherwise, you just sound crazy. so that's
what Sam from the team said recently to me. He said, "Oh, my family thinks I'm crazy for everything I'm doing."
So you need people like-minded, and that's a good thing. I found that there. And also I like to compare my accounts to like your accounts and others. To see that nothing is misconfigured or something is wrong. Sometimes I feel that the EA is not doing exactly like I wanted to. And then I like to cross-check to see that it's just not me, something in my configuration and stuff.
Right.
And that's something great that I found in the community. And now I have a few friends that I speak to very regularly with trading. So that's in regards to trading, and that's nice. It also helps me endure like drawdown. Somehow, when I'm not the only one, it just makes it easier. I can go in, I can see, I'm like 15% in drawdown in this account. I go in, I see, someone else is also, maybe you, maybe someone else. I just feel better. I'm like, okay, we're on track. This is not something that, an isolated event. This is part of what it's supposed to be. So, but then also you need to evolve, because some EAs, they might work now, maybe not later on. So there's always a search for finding EAs. And if I find a better EA than something that I use, I might replace them. This takes a lot of time and money, because not only do you need to buy the EA, you usually have some losses in the beginning as well. Maybe you reconfigured it, or too high risk or something like that. And just having a community that tests the EAs and do all that job for you, do all the back tests and present you something, and maybe even have a live track record, it just makes my life so much easier. I'm not getting any bad EAs anymore. I just get the good ones now.
I'm really happy to hear all of that. And that was why we did it. It's somehow still I don't realize we've accomplished so much. And quite often beginners ask, should I put this on demo, or should I start first with demo? I say, you can, but you don't need to, because we have the track records there, the live track records. On the opposite side, I can transparently share with you that for me and for my team, but especially for me, the biggest value is that once you share, and you personally shared many of your accounts, they're visible on the website. This helps us a lot to see if we can do better. Like, can we do better on a different broker? Even we use a couple of brokers, maybe there is a third one, a fourth or fifth one that will perform better, or the EA will perform better on that broker. And that's just something we will never accomplish ourselves, because we can test hundreds of them. We've automated a lot of the stuff now, but we obviously can't trade and test all of the EAs on all of the brokers, because there are hundreds, and brokers are hundreds as well. So sharing this cross-sharing results is really, really useful for us. And I think in the very near future, we will have very accurate results of okay, this EA works best on this broker with this server on this VPS in Europe, for example, because the broker has a server there, right? And we are working with my team to really automate this whole process as well. And after the podcast, I will share some more with you. And if you're new to algo trading and you don't know which broker to start with, check out Black Bull Markets. We've been using them in ATS for over 3 years now. We never had issues with withdrawals, and they are fully regulated broker with great trading conditions for expert advisors. I will leave the links down below in the description if you want to test the broker on a demo or on a live account. And the actual reason I really wanted to invite you for the podcast was for you to share more of your experience of combining different EAs into one account. Can you share what's your approach and how you decide which EAs to put together?
First, I try to run the EAs by themselves so I can see how often they trade and how they behave and how aggressive they are. Very aggressive EAs is not good to combine. I try to combine not so aggressive and then I try to make sure that the pairs are not too diversified. So you don't want the EA to be in drawdown at the same time. If you run several, it will just hit your stop loss very quickly. So I like if they have different strategies, like let's say one is a trending EA and one is a mean reversion EA. Even if they have that different approaches, they can even be on the same EAs because or the same pair, because you would expect them to be on the opposite direction of each other. So that can work, but of course it's a bit risky. It's not easy to combine EAs.
No, it's not easy at all.
Yeah, I would say maybe not do it for a long time, because I burned myself many times that I didn't see correlations that were there, thinking that the Canadian dollar wasn't affected by the USD dollar, but they are. And oil has this thing going on with both of these pairs. If something happens with oil, they both react and things like that. You start seeing that and you start thinking, no, well, maybe I should not combine these, and in the end there's not that many, but there are some, like the Market Master, for instance. It trades very rarely, and it's on the euro dollar, or at least I traded on the euro dollar. I think you're doing some.
We do dollar CAD and pound yen, I believe, but we've tested the 3 pairs in one and the same account, and the euro dollar is still the most profitable.
Yeah. So I think I took one of your set files on the Canadian pair.
Dollar CAD.
It wasn't, yeah.
Dollar CAD.
So on the M30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm using that as well, and it's working fine.
Yeah, it's profitable. It's just not as profitable as the euro dollar. So what do you think it's suitable to combine with?
I just had the opportunity to add it to the Forex Gold Investor. So I did that. And that was maybe a crazy move because I didn't know how crazy the Forex Gold Investor was. I'm trading half the risk of what you are. You're running 1% risk in the set files, and I'm running 0.5% risk. But then on the there's 3 strategies, and I run it all, so I guess it's 1.5% risk then. I don't know how to calculate that. Depends on the year, I guess. But this far, that account has done excellent.
All right.
Maybe because the Forex Gold Investor has been so great lately. Not the last few days, but
In general, yeah. How many EAs do you tend to put in one account? Do you have a limit, or it depends on the strategy?
Well, I use an EA called Power Banker. It's you sort of optimize the EA to give you different set files and different strategies. And there I combined quite a lot of EAs. And they also have a tool so you can see that they don't go into drawdown at the same time. And if they do, you can just remove it and add it with something else. Just like there's this tool, the Quant Analyzer. I think it does the same thing. So you can put in your back tests and you can combine different strategies and you can see if they are in drawdown at the same time.
Right.
So because of that, with Power Banker, that I use mainly for funding, for funded accounts, I can have maybe sometimes 5-6 strategies at the same account with very low risk. But it also needs a large account, like a 100K account or something like that. And it's working good.
So you're trading live, you're trading funded accounts, you're trading props.
Yes.
Do you have a rule of how much you put into live and props and funded, or you keep them equal?
Oh, nowhere near. It's like 99% live.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have a few prop firms and a few Darwin X zero accounts. So the prop firm accounts is more like, I see it more like an experiment. I had quite a few accounts before and I lost them. Like my Forex funds, they disappeared. And I think I had like 600K with them when they went away. That was a bit sad. I've seen something on X now that they're doing some sort of comeback. So maybe, I don't know, maybe can get the accounts back. That would be very nice. But I also had some denied payouts for no reason. And I just didn't want to go that route because it felt kind of sad. Making all this effort, and it takes a long time. When you have 5% daily loss, you need to trade very, very carefully. So usually it takes months to get to any kind of payout, and if you don't get it, then it makes you sad. But the ones that I've used now, they've paid out, or at least one, because the other one is still in the challenge. So
it's interesting for me to see that the more people I talk to, there is some kind of pattern that the more experienced you are, the more you are towards live trading. The more beginner you are, then you go for all crazy stuff and you buy a lot of prop firms. There's a lot of people depending just on the prop firms, and they start to transition to live trading. And at the end of the day, I quite often ask myself, okay, from what we profit? And it's always the live trading. Of course, we need capital. And that's what we usually say to everybody who wants to start. You need to have some capital to start with. If you don't, then just practice, go for a demo account as long as you get a job to get some income out of it. But don't try to risk money you can't risk on props and funded accounts, because you will end up just blowing one after another and you won't reach sustainable results.
I think one of the biggest problems is also you start out trading too small of account, and it's much harder to trade a small account than a large account. So you start trading on a really small account, and you end up believing it's not possible, I can't do this, and the only reason is it's too little funds. That's I've done that myself.
It's like with any business out there, if you don't have money, it's so hard to kick off. It's so hard to start and establish a brand if you don't have. I know, because I started from scratch, I didn't have anything, and building the ATS as a brand, as a business, took nearly 10 years now, and I can say that now we are grounded and stable of what we are doing, and we are doing fine, but it took 10 years. It's not 10 days. So same thing for trading if you're an individual, and I also like to say this to every trader: take it as your own business. It's your money you're managing. You don't have all the expenses to hire offices, to hire people, to hire. Yeah, we buy EAs, we spend money here and there on VPSs, but it's nothing compared to if you were having a market, groceries or something, right? You have these expenses, but you still need to handle it as a business that you're growing over the years, not in a couple of days or months. It's just impossible. And can you walk us through your top performing EAs? Probably that's what the people want to hear.
Yeah, well, if they want to hear the crazy stories, then I have one EA that I did almost 15,000% in 6 months.
15,000.
15,000. But I make frequent withdrawals, and I don't know how I'm using.
I don't know if you should mention the name because it sounds so risky to me.
It's very risky. But I don't know how it actually calculates because it's my FX book and I took frequent withdrawals and I also started with a much smaller account than I used at the end. And I think maybe that manipulates the percentage a little bit because 15,000, I'm not even sure it's possible, myself. But it said on my FX book, I think I have some screenshot from it because I know I posted it on some Discord thread and it said 14,000 something percent. And it was a little more or a little less than 6 months, but around 6 months. And this was the funny part that you've heard of Lisa Forex?
Yeah. Fellow YouTuber, yeah.
She made a set file for this on gold. And she just did, she thought it out and said, I'm just going to do the craziest thing I'm going to do with the craziest martingale there is and with the tightest grid there is. And she started running it for a little while and it had the best profit factor that she'd ever seen. But it was for a short period of time. And I was like, this I need to try. And I was thinking I should just, to take a small account and maybe double it and withdraw. So I started doing that. And it went very, very, very good. Lisa, I don't think she really likes the high risk stuff. So she ended this quite quickly because she saw that it was frequently 50% drawdown and more. So she stopped, but I didn't. I continued on. And I liked it more and more, and I got greedy, which, is not the best thing in trading. So I started increasing the amount of money, and in the end, it was a lot. So I started getting a bit nervous about it, but I doubled an account like in a week, in 2 weeks, and I made withdrawals all the time. And I was like, I need to put more money in. Then everything was was going smoothly until the Trump tariffs came. And the markets were going crazy. And this is a mean reversion strategy. It doesn't like markets going crazy in one direction like it did then. By then I was running 2 accounts. I lost them and I refunded them and then I refunded them 3 or 4 times, I think. And since I was by then so large in size, I kind of lost. I made some profits of it, but maybe around 2 to 5%. If I would have just traded regularly, I would probably have made the same amount of money. But I kind of lost interest in it because the markets were not suitable for that EA anymore. But I was still very much attached to this strategy because it was doing so good, better than anything I've ever seen. So I thought I'd just try to make it a little bit nicer and maybe for another pair, not gold, because gold can shoot out or go down so quickly. It's not the best one. So I started chatting with ChatGPT and just sent my set files there and said, can you convert this so it will basically do the same thing but on the euro dollar? And I got out some settings, started testing. I should have started it on a demo, but I didn't. I just put it straight onto live, and it's actually been doing great ever since. I've had to stop. But it's been recovered and it's still good. But it's very, very aggressive, and I don't consider it my best one, of course. But it's by far the best performing one. But it can change at any time, and I'm expecting it to.
Okay, I think you can mention which EA because you definitely describe how dangerous and risky it is. So it will be anyone's decision if they want to give it a try.
Yeah, this is Profit Retriever by Export Forex.
Okay, yeah. We were almost about to start testing those, but from the track records, I remember they had many track records on the website, right?
Yes.
With crazy percentages. And I said that's not the type of EA we were looking for, but I get your point that you can still make money with such EAs.
Yeah, and it helps me to run my other accounts with low risk. because I have a tendency to think if it's too low risk, I have a tendency to think it's a little bit boring. So I like to have those smaller accounts to spice things up. And it's also the only accounts that I do withdrawals from. All my larger accounts, I just either move funds to a new account or just move them around a little bit, but I don't withdraw. But with these high risk, I withdraw. And I expect them to blow. That's why I do the withdrawals from them. So, but I found that to be a good balance, and it helps me to keep my focus on the low risk stuff for the bigger accounts.
No, I'm very open as well to experiment from time to time, and we were discussing with the team that we should also have within the whole portfolio, maybe just have 10% of a risky type of accounts with risky EAs while maintaining the rest, low risk with the idea of 2 to 5% with the target of 2 to 5%, but just always experiment because you never know from where something good might come up, right? We don't want to give up on a strategy just because it's risky. If it's a good strategy, then we can just lower the risk and still make some money out of it, right? And even trading a small account and doubling it and withdrawing profits makes sense to me, even though I barely don't do that anymore. But I know that there are a lot of beginners who want to do that, and I do believe that everybody should go through that once or twice, right? So as you said, this helps you to settle down your risk with the time and say, okay, I don't want to crazy stuff anymore. I want more of a passive income from the algo trading. And which other EAs?
I started out responsible forex trading.
Okay.
So Brian's EAs that done the powerhouse and all that stuff. And I've been trading them for so long that I trust the EAs and I know how they work in depth. And in the beginning, I was talking to Ryan through his Discord almost daily, and I've learned how he's thinking, and it resonated with me. He's also a bit on the riskier side, so I like that. And so I've been trading the powerhouse for a long time. It contains, I think, 5 or 6 or 7 strategies, but then I trade them also individually. And out of that, I would say the sharpshooter is my absolute favorite. It recently took a loss, and I know you lost a few accounts, my funds, or if it was Darwin, I don't know, but some funded accounts.
It was last year actually, ever since this time it hasn't made a huge drop.
And it was so nice. You can use it on high risk, and it had in back tests, I think it was 20-year back tests, and had like 4% drawdown maximum.
Exactly.
That is unheard of. I mean, it's so great. And the EA really is great. It was so good that I've put it on so many accounts that when you had that blow, I also lost too much money. I had it on maybe 50% of my accounts. So I had to remove that.
And because of this event of the sharpshooter, we came up with the rule that we shouldn't put one in the same EA on more than 5 accounts, no matter what, no matter how good it is, no more than 5 accounts. So
I heard you say that, and I'm like, this is a good rule. I'm just going to do the same.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And just before the podcast, we were discussing that probably it's important to build a list of trust for the EAs, because just like you said, when you trade one EA long enough, you start building a trust into it. And even if it fails one time, it doesn't mean it's a bad EA. It was just a very reckless market at this time, and you can continue trading. Maybe you can adjust the risk a little bit, but it's so much easier to continue trading with it rather trading a brand new EA that you have no idea about, right?
Absolutely. I think if you started out with trading the sharpshooter when this happened, you probably lost all confidence in it. For me, it's not even dented. it's still one of my top EAs, and I have full confidence in it.
Okay, please tell me a third one that you don't stop trading.
Now I don't want to take one of the powerhouse EAs. Well, if we take one of the more recent ones that I don't have that much track record on it, but I've grown to like it, and the back test says a lot. And I also know you like it, and it's the Market Master. It doesn't trade often, but it's also nice not to have it in the market all the time. When you see stuff happening, you're thinking, oh, how are my accounts doing? More often than not, Market Master is in nowhere. It's not in trouble. It's no drawdown. It's just It's a good one, and I believe it's got to do really good in the future.
We hope so too, and it's interesting to see people that get to know Market Master because of our videos, and we receive so many emails and Discord messages saying, "Oh, I've put it a few days ago, it didn't trade," and we are like, "Okay, give it a few more weeks because it might be a long time before it takes the first trade." But at the end of the day, in the long term, it trades profitably, which is the thing we're looking for. And that's one of the first pieces of advice we give to beginners, is not to rush. It doesn't mean you put the EA on the account, it will start printing money for you. It takes time with some to execute the first trade, and actually it's a very, very good sign that you have a good strategy behind the EA if it doesn't execute the trade immediately, because those EA that we put on chart and immediately there is an open trade, they rely heavily on the grit to recover, right? They don't have any edge, or they don't use anything as an entry rule. They just enter, and then they have this math of the recovery. That's where it gets really, really risky. I really want to know, how do you decide to give up on a strategy?
After frequent stop losses. So if I have several, and I see that the EA is struggling and I'm starting to lose confidence in it, then I give up on it, and maybe I put it on a demo to see how it does, or maybe just pause it for a little while. But there are also some EAs that trade in a way that doesn't resonate with me. Like, why did it do that? And why is the grid so tight? I look for those kind of things, and it needs to be that the EA trades like I want it to, in order for it to be a good partnership, basically. So I've had a few EAs that doesn't trade that way, and that I've just abandoned.
Okay, do you have a precise rule, like how many times it has to follow? Because with the team now, we're trying to really group all of the trading into rules, and just for this particular case, we were discussing to have a rule of 2. Like, if it failed once, we'll give it just one more chance. If it fails again, okay, we give up on it, because it's one of the things that doesn't have a right answer, right? Just like how we discussed downstairs of where the drawdown of the account should be. 50% works great, but not all of the time. Sometimes it will just hit your drawdown and will recover. Sometimes it will blow the account. So there is no right or wrong. But what do you think is?
I don't think I would rule-based it like that, because this is something that Ryan is doing from Forex, responsible Forex trading. He takes it offline and then trades it on a demo. I think he does it like that. But the whole point is, he wants the EA to recover the loss. Then he starts trading it again. And maybe I think, it resonates with me. I think that's good. Putting it on a demo, seeing that it works, it can recover the loss that it had. It makes you confident that if it happens again, there's a chance that it can recover the loss. And that's the important thing, I think.
Yeah, for me, this makes sense in terms of to check if the market really changed for this EA, because if it made a drop and then makes again a drop, and if it makes again a drop, then that's not okay anymore. But at the same time, we always say that the best time to start trading an EA is after it dropped, right? So if it is one of those EAs that go very steadily upwards, but from time to time they make dips, and from time to time another dip, then probably starting again just with lower risk makes the most sense. But if it fails again, then yeah, you have to. Because putting it on a demo, just thinking out loud now, is that if you had it on live and it failed and you put it on demo until it recovers, it's pretty much buying Bitcoin at 120K, you know, it drops and you take the loss and you sell it. And then you wait again until it goes to 120K before you buy it again, right?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And, you know, I think usually I don't put it on a demo. Ryan does. I usually continue trading though. But even though I've had some strategies that I've lost faith in because they had frequent stops, then I just abandon them and I don't go back. I don't look at them again.
Yeah, it's interesting for me to see also traders, and we had some time ago Roberto from Discord and our podcast that we saw that he had the Percept Trader AI from Valerie Trading, very profitable for a couple of years, and he got to know the AI from us, but we abandoned it after a loss. And now you mentioned the sharpshooter, which I pretty much abandoned last summer after I had a couple of losses, but I kept it in a WNX account, I believe, only, not a live account, and now recovered that loss, right? So it's an opportunity that I missed.
But you hadn't been trading it for very long when this happened, so you didn't have confidence in it.
Exactly.
I completely understand that. I thought you were doing that, and that you would have abandoned it, and I was thinking he's doing a mistake.
You should have told me about it.
I should have.
Okay. And can you tell me what is your goal from now on after you are a profitable algo trader with expert advisors? I know what was your goal when you started after the sports betting, but now after all of that experience, after losses and profits and being profitable, what's the goal? You've mentioned a retirement plan before the podcast when we were in the car. What exactly is the plan for you?
Yeah, the plan changed, of course, from the thousands of percent to just something much more realistic for long-term growth instead of just making a quick buck. And retirement is one of these things. I just wanted to make as much as possible from life, and I will probably have a lot of time when I retire to do stuff, see the world and travel, and trading allows for that because you can trade from anywhere, and that would make for some unique possibilities. So that's what I want to do. I want to grow my capital so large that I can live off of it and maybe even retire earlier if that's a possibility.
Does that mean you're still working 9-to-5 job?
I am, yeah. And I think I need to do that because the added pressure of relying on the profits from trading could maybe make me do bad decisions, maybe intervene more, maybe become more nervous, and maybe I wouldn't be able to trade some of those accounts that I do as aggressively as I do now. I would have to lower everything down because the stop losses would hurt too much then, I guess.
I completely agree with that. And what is your target to reach as a monthly profit, or let's say in percentage, or as a total value, so that you will be comfortable to quit your 9-to-5 job? And I'm asking because I know that's a huge struggle for many of our viewers that want to dedicate their time into algo trading, but they don't know, are they ready for it? Should they quit their job? When do you think you will be comfortable quitting your job?
Well, I've been telling myself that I need to make from trading monthly on an average about 3 times what my monthly salary is.
3 times the salary.
Yes. So
Okay, that's a very good answer, actually.
if I reach that, I think I will have the buffer to take stop losses, and even if I have some losing months, it will still be fine, and I can do it in a relaxed way, trading and living off of it. But I wouldn't say it's my main goal because I don't feel the need to stop working. And I like that it's possible to combine trading with work just like I do now, because I've had other side jobs before where I was packaging stuff, sending things out, dealing with customers and all that stuff. And that was a lot harder to combine with a regular job. So my goal is not to stop working. It's just to maybe take out my retirement a few years earlier.
I was watching one other podcast where they were saying and showing statistics of how many people, particularly in the States, were hating their job. Just people don't like what they're doing, and that's why they jump into trading. But it's so hard because obviously if you have no experience, if you have no funds, just what we discussed, it's so hard to rely on trading. So when you like what you do and combining it with trading it's great. It's one of the best options because I've had plenty of one-on-one calls and discussions with our VIP users, clients, subscribers, and they ask me for my opinion, right? And the last thing I say is quit your job because you can get into some serious troubles, especially nowadays when AI replaces so many positions. If you quit, it might turn out to be very hard to find a job again. And if you experience losses in trading, you might turn into a serious debt even, if you will.
I mean, it's such a mental challenge to trade. Even with robots, it's mentally draining. And putting all your eggs in this basket, hoping that things will work. And, I think it's close to impossible to do that. Close to impossible. Just handling that risk. How will you sleep? If you have some larger stop losses, Trump says something new and, account starts blowing and that's your life blowing up.
Absolutely.
That's, I don't know if I would be able to keep my coolness.
Absolutely. We're living in a crazy world nowadays where war starts all the time and markets change and gold and oil prices change all the time, which influences obviously the forex market. So people should be really careful to maintain their main source of income. And even though you become really profitable and you want to quit your job, you can still think of other sources of income. I'll give you an example. I suggested a client I was speaking to, and he was already profitable, was making some good money. I was planning to quit his job. And I said, okay, great, but why don't you consider, for example, buying some property? At the same time, rent it out so you'll have the stable income every month, because rentals nowadays do really well, even Airbnb business or whatever related to real estate. And at the same time, you have some money, why don't you invest some in stocks and crypto so you'll not heavily rely on trading? And that's why I shared in a couple of my videos that algo trading for me is just part of my participation on the markets. I do stocks, I do crypto, I do algo trading. I just talk about algo trading in the videos because that's so interesting for me. And it's a never-ending topic, right? That's a lot of possibilities, but I'll never put all of my eggs into algo trading or in trading in general.
Now you need to be careful of that. And even today I make more from trading than my regular job. I still see I would just never quit my job at this stage. It's just way too early. If I wanted something else, I would do like you, investing in maybe something else. But it turns out for me that I'm so heavily invested in Forex and trading with algos, but that's what I know, that's where I feel I have control. So doing manual, like buying stocks, or I've had stocks and funds and all that stuff, and didn't really work out for me, and I felt totally in the hands of someone else when I feel more in control with Forex. So I think I'm a bit heavy on my forex investment.
Now, if you feel comfortable with it, it's just great.
Yeah,
There's no
I
reason
have
to
some
change
property
it.
also, so other parties in property. But I've left all stocks and I don't trade crypto, and yeah.
That's what you're good at, and that's what you feel comfortable.
That's what I feel, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Probably that's one of the best pieces of advice we can give in this podcast. That really people should be careful, and at the same time they should do what they feel in control of. And when we picked you from the airport, you shared that you really don't think of making any change. Because I asked you what's the plan from now on, what's the goal from now on. And you said that you just want to keep exactly what you are doing, just add funds. How do you succeed to maintain it profitable?
I think I have a good variety of EAs and a good amount of accounts, because I've had up towards like 35 accounts, and it was just too much. Some accounts were just neglected, and I didn't really have the energy to deal with some of them. So now I'm like 20, 25, I think that's the sweet spot. So I don't want to grow any more accounts. And EA really needs to be good for me to take it in now, because I just feel like I have a good spread of it. So yeah, I don't want to do much changes, but adding funds is something that would speed things up, of course. And I don't want to add any more from my salary, because I think it's one of the perks now that the trading does money. I don't need to have any monthly savings, and I don't. So that is part of my profit from forex trading. But I keep that for myself to just spend all of my salary. So that's I think that's good.
I think that's pretty much what I am also doing. All the profits from the accounts we withdraw and we've put into new accounts, and we grow the portfolio. This way we have the chance to test more and more EAs. And at the end, can you share the number one lesson you learned from 10 years of trading? Blown accounts, profitable accounts. You're on the profitable side now. I'm very happy to hear that. What's the one thing a beginner who stayed until the end with us should remember?
I think that my biggest mistake was over-risking. And that took me down a rabbit hole, because I was thinking I probably should lower my risk. But how can I do that now with all these losses? I will never recover my money, because I wanted to recover them as fast as possible. And I can't see that lowering my risk was the right way to go. But I shouldn't have started with these high-risk strategies to begin with, because it taught me the wrong way. It taught me the urge of trying to make all this money, and you did during months. It was great. You're thinking, "Oh, this is great," and then all the losses came, and yeah. So keeping the risk low, as low so you don't learn any bad habits. That's probably the best advice I can have. And do back tests from the account size that you're going to do with the EA you're going to do. See if it survives, because even the best EAs can't deal with a low amount in your account. You need a certain size. A back test can show that, so you can get a feel for how much money you need in the account. I know you've said that the $200 accounts aren't doing very well. In my exact experience, don't trade $200 accounts.
We were really trying to find and fit some EAs, because just people were asking for that. Whenever we were posting videos for $200 account and $1,000, 5K, always the videos with $200, they do well, just because people want to start with small amount, but it's nearly impossible to start with small amount. And this piece of advice always to backtest is so crucial, because usually when people join the VIP club, they download our set files, but they put them on different account size. So people should always backtest it, and we still do it. Even we have the EA on a couple of accounts. If we decide to put it on a new account, no matter if it's bigger or smaller, we backtest it again, see if it survives or not, if it still fits the drawdown limits we have. That's very, very important.
Yeah, backtest is the it's the best thing when it comes to algo trading, that we can actually see for how it can perform for so long period of time. You can even try different brokers and see how that works, and you can test the different latencies and different account sizes, and of course different settings in the EA. That is the most crucial thing, to learn how to backtest and get a feel, because when some of my EAs, when I'm in trouble, I can do backtest just to see, is this something we've seen before? Do I have confidence in it? And the backtest can give me that confidence.
Zulan, I thank you very much for joining the podcast, for flying all the way from Sweden. I believe your experience will be useful to everybody in the community. It's been useful until the moment for us, and I really hope we'll have more people like you. And I really hope the beginners will hear our bad experiences we had, and it's really sad that we have to go through these bad experiences to learn all the mistakes. So sharing the mistakes is rare. Not everybody wants to do that. And I'm so grateful to you that you shared everything with us today. And I hope it's not going to be the last podcast, and I'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.